we'll call the meeting to order. Appreciate everybody coming. It's good to see everybody. Neil, roll call, please.
Susan. Kay.
Here.
Jeremy. Bo.
Here.
Kale. Here. Randy.
Here.
Jack.
Which is here.
Jack's here.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to item number 3, approval of minutes of June 21st, 2021. I know you guys were sent this last week, and Neil has given this out as well.
I move that we accept the minutes as presented.
I have a motion to accept. Do I have a second?
Yes.
Motion and a second. Any changes or additions? Hearing none. Roll call.
Hey, Jack.
Here. Yes.
Randy.
Yes.
Kale. Yes. Bo.
Yes.
Jeremy.
Yes.
Susan. Jeremy.
Thank you. Here.
And yes.
All right, moving to item number 5, approval number 4, approval of financials today. Again,
They're in the packet.
that's in the packet, yep.
Yeah.
And this was sent
Yesterday?
yesterday.
Yeah.
Neil, anything you want to address?
Not really any big items or changes or anything, just normal financial. We're in the positive, so that's always good.
Anybody have any questions or anything for Neil?
I make a motion we approve them as they are.
Okay, I have a motion to approve the financials today, and I have a second. Any other discussion?
Who's second?
Jack stats.
Jack.
Hearing none, let's roll call Neil.
Kay.
Yes.
Jeremy.
Yes.
Bo.
Yes.
Kale. Yes. Randy.
Yes.
Jack.
Yes.
All right, moving on to number 5, we have the approval of the budget for FY22. And
is this any different than last year?
Yeah, it is a little bit.
You want to talk about that?
We took some off of, course, let's see. I think the administration income we came down on, and the rail card charge we came down on. And
The grant funds.
the grant funds, yeah, we,
Is that from Noeda?
and that's the one we ask for every year. That's not counting the extra one we got this year. So that's about it.
But you don't anticipate any from them this year?
No, we anticipate the 20 again for general operations.
any other questions? All right, hearing none, I would take a motion to approve the budget for FY22.
Jack stats, I so move. Second.
I have a motion by Jack and a second by Randy. Any other questions or discussion? Roll call?
Kay,
Yes.
Jeremy,
Yes.
Bo,
Yes.
Cale,
Yes.
Randy,
Yes.
Jack.
Yes.
All right, number 6, excited to have State Representative Logan Phillips with us, who represents District 24. I had the pleasure to get to know Logan during in Leadership Oklahoma. He has run several bills, one in particular that is going to help rural Oklahoma for broadband. And I asked him just to come talk a little bit about his plans and kind of what we might be thinking for Woods County and our communities to help with rural broadband. I will say this, Logan's got a background in IT, worked in schools, he's a farmer and a rancher. I promise, just knowing him, he's one of us, and I appreciate him taking the time and driving. District 24 is over and around Tulsa, so appreciate him taking his time to come over here and talk to us. So, Logan, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Bo. So I'm Logan Phillips. I'm the state representative of District 24, which is Mogi, Okfuskee, and Hughes County. So about 2,000 miles of rural countryside, lots of farms. Main ag, our ag is our main infrastructure there, our main piece of economic development. I'm also the chairman of broadband for the state of Oklahoma. I'm also the chairman of technology. I serve on the higher education commission, our board as well for the state of Oklahoma. I'm a teacher by trade, college professor in business and IT. Been teaching for about 17 years now. And past that, I've also been an IT director. I've worked in the Army in infrastructure, running their satellites, encryption, decryption. So teaching and broadband are pretty much everything I do all day long, every single day. Last year, Oklahoma, for the most part, we discovered has been horrible for technology. We are so far outdated on our rules, our state statutes, our expansion, our infrastructure. It was a massive glaring hole. And about 3 years ago, I came into office with the one plan was that I wanted to expand broadband connectivity to Oklahoma and get our people connected so we can have economic expansion, so that we could bring in new jobs, expand out the hospital capabilities, our e-learning capabilities. And everyone at the state capitol pretty much were like, oh, that's nice that you're doing that, but we don't really care. It wasn't a glaring issue to anyone else. And so I tell everybody the good thing that came out of COVID, the one good thing is everybody went home at the exact same time, tried to log on, and realized that the internet capabilities in Oklahoma was terrible everywhere. And so all of a sudden I started getting phone calls from the Senate leadership and the House leadership saying, hey, I can't do my meetings at my house. How can we fix this? So last year, I got permission and help to run several bills. All of our state statutes for internet was written in 1996. And so we defined state broadband as high-speed broadband as 512 kilobytes per second. Now, in 1996, that was magical. That was twice the speed of dial-up connectivity. Well, that was great. You can't check your email on 512 kilobytes a second anymore. The FCC standard is 25 megabytes, so we're talking thousands of times more powerful for the bare minimum is what our federal government calls broadband. But Oklahoma, 512 kilobytes at high speed dial-up. So the first thing we did was we updated every single one of the state statutes in my bills. We renamed our broadband speeds and capabilities to match up with the FCC, put in a clause so that FCC updates their statutes. We automatically update, so we don't have to wait 15, 25 years again before another legislator comes in and says, oh, we're behind. We've set it up so it automatically updates, and we keep on being at what is the bare minimum at least. We also went through and created what was called the ORBEC, the Rural Broadband Expansion Council, and I'm the chairman of it. And we brought in everybody from the co-ops to the internet service providers to fiber providers, from the WISP network providers, from the OML, mayor, small towns. And we put them on a round table and said, okay, if I'm going to run statute and we're going to fund this, how do we do it? Like, you guys are the ones that know how to do this. You're the experts in the fields. Tell me what we need to do as a state to not be behind in this realm. And so for the last year and a half, we've been working as a committee to actually come up with grant proposals, rules for expanding broadband, funding mechanisms, identifying all the shortcomings from adoption issues to just where does the actual infrastructure lie. And we did this because in my background, I knew in 2007, the federal government came out and they threw a bunch of money at broadband for rural expansion to broadband areas. And what they did was they laid a bunch of fiber that didn't connect to anything. They put up poles that had no connection to it. They threw satellites that didn't have power up, or satellite antennas up. And so they built infrastructure and didn't actually connect to a single house. And a bunch of companies made billions and billions of dollars. And so I wanted to make sure that if we were going to fund something, that we have no instance of that ever happening again under my watch. So we created a map. And the FCC has a map of broadband, and it is notorious for being absolutely terrible. It is not a representation of where connectivity is at all. And in fact, it only takes into account what the ISP or internet service provider says they have is their max speed. So if AT&T or Cox says, yeah, we cover this whole area, and you can get up to a gigabyte service, they will mark off entire geographic areas and say, okay, that area is served. And that's advertised speed, not actual connection. It doesn't go to the households. It's a terrible, terrible map. So I put in rules that said, okay, I want us to have a map. We took state data, we took the FCC data, we've layered that onto speed test data. So if you've ever gone online and done a speed test from your home, we took every one of those live connections, so my map updates every few hours. And so if AT&T says, we come to your house, we provide gigafiber, and you're paying for gigafiber, but magically you're only getting 3 megabytes per second from every one of your devices, and every one of the other houses is as well, I can now tell that they're lying or being dishonest about their speeds, that their advertised speed is not what we're going for anymore. And so with this map, we broke it up and we defined unserved and underserved areas. And I promise this all ties together about the money pots and the honey pots coming. And we said that any state or any area that doesn't have connections to the FCC standard is unserved or underserved. Either they don't have any at all, or they might have like a 3 megabyte connection or a WISP connection. And then we put in a grant program that said if you're going to get state money or federal money that's coming through the state, you have to go into where my map tells you, which is the unserved and underserved areas. Tulsa, Oklahoma City, they're served. They are completely covered with high-speed internet. So I didn't want to throw a bunch of money and then to say, okay, the easiest place for us to make a profit, we'll take the money and we'll build out more in Tulsa and Oklahoma City. And we'd get nothing in the rural communities again. So I've limited all the money that we spend out to go into specifically the rural communities, into those unserved, underserved areas. And it's working really well. Now I did this thinking that this last year, that the federal government would come out and they'd give us $20, $30 million. And that was what I was really shooting for. My contact with the Hill said that we would have some money coming to each individual state. So we passed a tax rebate in the state of Oklahoma for $47 million. That if you go into the unserved, underserved areas, we can cover your taxes up to $47 million, which was unheard of. It was the #1 bill that came out of the House of Representatives this year. It was the biggest bill, the biggest tax rebate that Republican House control has done in a very, very long time. But everyone saw it as an infrastructure build out, that if we want economic expansion, we have to have connectivity. And so we fought and got that through. I had asked originally for $500,000 in that tax rebate. The other representatives chimed in and we got $50 million, or $47 million. $50 million, that's rounded off. And I was expecting hopefully $20, $30 million from the feds in actual cash that I could grant out. Well, the feds came back and said, here's $1.9 billion. And out of that $1.9 billion, about $600 million of it can go to broadband expansion alone. So all of a sudden, Oklahoma is now setting further along than almost every state in the nation, because we updated every one of our state statutes to build out specifically in the hopes of getting that 20, 30 million. And now we're sitting on about 600 million just for this one realm, and it's a heyday. We haven't seen this type of infrastructure development and expansion capabilities, this amount of funding going into it, since the rural electrification in the 1920s, when the co-ops went out and brought electricity out to each individual homes. So we're in a spot where we have once in a multi-generational opportunity to build out the actual broadband capabilities as infrastructure. And it's all because the Biden administration changed a definition. Never in history has broadband been defined as infrastructure. But they went through in their state or federal statutes and changed that one little piece and defined broadband as infrastructure. So we got to tap into the roads and bridges money, we got to tap into the waterways money, we got to tap into a whole nother tax pocket that was set in there to build out this as actual infrastructure, not just as a nicety. Now, with that 1.9 billion of ARPA funding that we have setting there, there's actually a total pot in the state of Oklahoma of about $11 billion to build out for almost every single COVID impacted piece. And that's going to higher education, secondary education, that's going to our county commissioners. The municipalities have a pot of money, the counties have a pot of money. Pretty much everyone across the board has different pots of money. We as the state have 1.9 we're dealing with. All the wraparound comes out to about 11 billion combined total. That's the first round. If the infrastructure bill passes from the feds, which it's looking very much like it will, if it passes in any resemblance as it sits right now, Oklahoma is looking at possibly getting an additional $3 billion just for broadband build out. And if we're looking at that type of money, that is taking high-speed broadband to every single house in the state of Oklahoma, if we get that amount of money. So on October 1st, we have an ARPA working group, which is the Pandemic Relief Commission, which I am the chairman of infrastructure, broadband, wildlife, natural resources, and something else. So we have about 4 of these or 5 of these working groups or subgroups, and each one's higher ed, one's economic development. I'm the infrastructure guy, and I forget one's municipality control or something. I forget what it is. We will take in all the grants that people submit on October 1st, and we will start divvying out this money. And now we have to encumber the money in 2 years, and we have to spend the money in 4. So if here in this region, you guys come up with a plan to do something that is massively impactful, regionally impactful, with a collaboration with somebody, you turn it into the state and say, we want to do this. It will come to my subcommittee, we'll agree, we'll find a pot of money that matches it, we'll send it through to the commission, we'll vote on it, and if we find that it has a pot of money that can do it, and we think it will be impactful, then you will be given your check and ready to go. So on October 1st, what we're looking for as a state is things that you have a partnership with. Either that's a partnership with your county commissioners, partnership with municipalities, partnership with your schools, your career techs, whoever that is, that impacts a large group of people, preferably for large areas. Now, what this money cannot be spent for, unfortunately, is counties, roads, and bridges. The infrastructure bill is specific to that, that's coming. So this ARPA funds cannot be used for roads, bridges, those traditional infrastructures. But it can be used for broadband, it can be used for workforce development, it can be used for creating new programs that serve. There's pots of monies for things like hotspot connectivity for our libraries, both the schools and the county libraries. There's pots of money for I know one thing we're looking at is basically IT instructors, people that go to the community and help elder people connect online, help people who have never had it before, learn how to get into the systems and actually get connectivity. We got a pot of money to expand the Lifeline program, which has typically been that old Obama phone, is now you only could ever use it for a cell phone. Now they're going to break that in half, or you can actually use it for a cell phone and high-speed internet connectivity. And they will pay about 60 to 80%, depending, of the bill each month for those people. I think it's 100% or 125% over poverty to have high-speed internet at their home. There's money for expansion for the mental health facilities to do telemedicine. There's expansion for our rural health care to do telemedicine and telework. There's expansion for us to bring in workers from out of state that want to work in our area and pay taxes here if they'll come in. So this money can be used for almost anything you do that is COVID impacted. But what's going to require is you to figure out what that most impactful thing is and turn it into the state. So we call it a grant program, but it's more of you're coming up with a grant and we're funding it if it matches up with the pots of money. So it's a little backwards in that regard, but it'll be through a portal come October 1st. You literally submit it through the portal and it comes and goes through our working groups.
What's the name of this again?
So there's several different names. It's ARPA, American Recovery Plan, is the big funding pot, and then the Pandemic Relief Commission is the working groups that will be divvying out the money.
Well, This is September 14th, so we've got
Weeks.
less than 20 days to get this submitted.
20 days till it opens. We have up to 2 years to get it encumbered.
Well, I know, but we have to turn in a request.
Well, you have up until that 2-year
So we
mark
can
to
do
turn
it
in the
a year from
request.
now. if we
Oh,
want.
okay,
So,
okay,
Not that
if
we
you
wanna
want to do
wait a
it
year,
be
but-
first, October 1st, do it.
okay.
But from October 1st, 2 years to encumber it. So at any point in that 2 years, we can get you going.
So this sounds more like a proposal written instead of, you're not gonna have something that we fill out, it's just, we're coming up with proposals.
That's correct.
Do you have an idea, timeline of, let's say a proposal was turned in October 1st. Do you know like a turnaround of when somebody might find if it's funded or not?
That I do not know yet. So we are having our first grant meeting next week.
Okay.
And we just had our first ARPA working groups, or Pandemic Relief Commission working groups, last week, which is when we found out the bid process opens up October 1st. For the broadband projects, we're expecting almost immediate turnover. As soon as those are in, we have to get going on them as fast as possible. The reason being is every state in the nation got the same type of funding. So we're going to have a massive shortage of workers and a massive shortage of physical materials. So we've been green-lit that as those broadband programs come in, that we have to start meeting immediately. Our first meeting's next Friday to hear the rules of it. And as soon as that thing opens, we get our first proposal, we will start meeting to go through them to see if we can approve them or not. So you're talking pretty quick for the broadband projects, but again, up to 2 years to turn them in.
And is there any, for the broadband project, is there any matching money by the requesters, I guess?
So what we're looking at, and this is best practices, me being the chairman and discussions I've had, is 20/80 matching grants is what we're probably going to be going for. And that's for the broadband projects specifically. If you can come up with a partnership to come up matching 20%, the state would give you 80% or something in that regard. It's not solidified 100%, but that's what we're looking at right now. And the partnerships are going to be the biggest key piece. Can you partner with the municipality, the county commissioners, the county? Can you partner with the university or even with another municipality, another town? Or, whatever those partnerships look like, that would be the most impactful to the biggest number of people. I will say that what we're going to be looking at with $1.9 billion is not $10,000 grants. We cannot have the manpower to do $5,000, $10,000, $10,000 grants. So be looking at projects that are $1 million plus if you want to get them greenlit. Bigger projects that are that once in a generational project that you can actually pump out and have huge impacts.
So this needs to be, broadband projects need to be specifically proposed from the county rather than you guys serving it just as a regional.
Now, it can be from the county. It can be a project, say if Bo wants hotspots for a school or wants to create a new program to go out and create workforce for line workers. That would be a broadband project that has impact for the state. That would go through my committee. So it can be regional. Say if the municipality wants to partner with a co-op and they're trying to get into the broadband game and they say they can give you a smart city, then that would be a municipality-based one. But if the county wants to do it with sorry, I don't know what county I'm in right now. Used to being in my own county, so if Woods as the whole side said, okay, we want to partner with the county commissioners and throw in lines and we need, $1.5 million to run all the trunk lines for the entire county. And then we have an ISP that's going to come in and do last mile. That would be a reasonable grant. So it's just going to be what you think you need. Now there will be resources at the state. We have the RBEC committee, we have the maps, we have an idea of a lot of the programs we're going to be coming up with that will take some of the money away, that will have, if you're willing to do this, then that fits in the project we created. But the biggest chunk is we want to see it come from the counties, come from the municipalities. That way, me in Okmulgee County is not telling you here what's going to be best for getting you guys service. You know your areas the best, you know the population, you know the geography, you know the roads and bridges. How can we impact here? What is it you think we need?
And you said your priority would be the biggest bang for your buck.
That's correct.
So the bigger the project, the more people served.
Yeah.
That's what your priority is.
That's what my priority coming through my commission, through the broadband infrastructure. We just don't have the bandwidth to speak of to do micro grants. We need something that's big, generational change.
Could you have the county and like the university and the tech center all do it on one huge project,
Absolutely.
match together, and then that would be a bigger impact?
Absolutely.
We even asked them if it's possible for like multi-county,
Oh,
you know, to do, so even maybe some of the surrounding counties.
We have at least one broadband company that is looking at expanding what they're already doing, and they're looking at going into about 75 new cities across the entire state, producing broadband connectivity. And I think even Woodward and Alva were on that list. Connectivity for about 250, 350,000 new homes that have never been connected before. And that project come in about $125, $150 million. That was something where like, this is a viable option to pump out big connectivity to everybody. So that would probably be one of the bigger projects we can make, if they could do it to our standards.
Okay, coming up with an estimate on cost, do you have someone to contact
Yes.
depending on how big the project is?
So we have hired a PMO, a project management company, that helps with the state of Oklahoma with this. They're the ones that are controlling the grant website, and they're the administrative side of us. So once the website gets live, we have all the contact points, then I can share them with you.
Okay,
I don't have them right now, but they will be, the PMO will be the contact point for that kind of stuff.
for example, let's say we want 15 counties. Instead of having to do each county figure out, okay, to do all this, this is this much. We could contact them and we could tell them what counties, and they could come up with a price it would cost to connect.
I believe so.
Okay,
This is all extremely new. No one had any idea that we were getting this 1.9 billion at all. It came out of the blue, hit us, and we're like, holy crap.
oh yeah.
You know, there's a big difference between having to spend $20 million and having to spend 1.9 billion. That's a whole different workforce problem, just the administrative side of it. So a lot of those questions have not been answered yet.
Okay, okay.
And you said 600 million specific, or yeah, 600 million specifically is gonna be for rural broadband.
That's what we're looking at right now.
See, that was my question a little bit while ago, was I referring, if we turn in something regional, are we going to be, I shouldn't say, almost duplicating what like a company's already asking to provide, like a company that's gonna expand? I mean, it would,
That was kind of what was my next question. The company that, and I know you can't say who that is probably right now, but would they probably be reaching out
Yes.
soon with?
I would be not surprised if, and I've told all these companies the same thing, that they have to have partnerships in place.
See,
So if they just have a plan to expand their business, I don't care.
That's
They
part of
need
my-
to partner with the municipalities, with the people in place as well. So if company A comes and says, we're gonna cover Alva, Oklahoma, we can do this, my question to them would be, have you contacted Alva, Oklahoma, and have they agreed to work with you on this? And if that's not the case, then that project's not gonna be grant-led. So there will more than likely be grants that lap over each other, but they should be in contact with you, or you should be in contact with them. Most of the towns in my district have already had a couple different companies contact them, either about providing the equipment so they can go become smart cities, partnering with them and the tribe so they can bring fiber to the home or the end mile, or even the wastewater systems that they're doing, low water dams or wastewater management, and they're not doing it for the one city, they're doing it for the 5 or 10 surrounding cities, and going to turn in a grant to update all of them at once. So it's going to be a little bit of legwork on you guys, and a lot of legwork on those companies that are trying to do the work. They should be in contact with municipalities.
Do
Yes,
you
ma'am.
anticipate that there will be one website with all of these different programmatic pieces of information coming out of the legislature? What do you expect?
Yes. It's October 1st. I don't have the address yet because I haven't gone live. That will be the central hub for every piece. So if you come up with a project and a grant that you're wanting, you turn it into the website, we will figure out what pots of money can be used for it.
Okay.
Because it might not be just one pot of money. Like, so if he's creating a workforce to create linemen, I'm going to pull some money out of the education pot and some money out of the broadband pot and make it a bigger, more impactful program. And so our PMO company and the state will figure out where the funds come from. You figure out what project you need. But that one website will be the central hub for it all.
And that's from that project management company you're talking about, okay?
Yeah. It'll be hosted more than likely on the Corporation Commission or the Department of Commerce is where that website will be hosted at.
That would include the water wastewater infrastructure as well, I just wanted to
That
make
is
sure
correct.
everything perfect, thank you.
Corporation Commission or Department of Commerce?
Those are the two places that typically house our websites. More than likely it'll be Department of Commerce, but it'll be one of those two government entities that host the website. And so it'd be like Department of Commerce / ARPAmap.com or gov or something. We don't have an address yet because they literally haven't put it live. We won't get that until it goes live.
I have representatives' phone number, so I'll bug them around October 1st to make sure we get that.
It is a direct line to me. So I'll leave my card as well, so you guys can have the same.
Any other questions?
When we're talking broadband, are you talking fiber, or are you talking wireless, or both, or?
So the only thing we're not talking when we talk broadband is extraterrestrial, so no satellites. The Elon Musk system is completely out. And anyone that wants to duplicate that system is not a viable option. So we're talking terrestrial internet capabilities that are capable of providing 25.3 the speed, upgradable to 100. So we're not talking legacy systems, but that includes fiber is primary, but you're not going to get fiber to everybody. It costs about $44,000 per mile to run fiber. So, you know, you guys are out here, pretty big farmlands. That could be Bill Joe's one farm. Costs 44 grand. So fiber is the main piece, looking at the trunk lines. Then we're looking at partnering with either the wireless service providers or the AppLink type line of sight WISP networks. So that could be small cell, which is like AT&T, Verizon, or it can be things like AppLink, which is, you'll see them with the antennas on the roof and it just does a line of sight to another antenna, those types of providers. But the priority is fiber to the home.
This is new construction, it can't have already taken place.
New construction.
All new.
And specifically to unserved, underserved areas, which that map is very specific. So this area would be covered in that.
Okay.
Is that a public map or?
Not yet, but it will be. We have some proprietary data on it, which is why it's not. According to our contract with a company called CostQuest, I can look at a map right now and say, okay, your farm, your house is here, it has speeds to X, and I can see your speed test data, and you have this big chicken coop, this commercial that you need security cameras at. It doesn't, but it needs it. I can distinguish between those to the individual house at this point. But because of that data, I can't bring it public because it has proprietary company data and has secure data for individual homes. So we got to find a way to strip that out, and as soon as we get that, then it goes public and anyone can look at it.
These grants, will be competing against corporations, against that too, like you talked about corporations returning it. Is this, I mean, municipalities, regional, will be competing against corporations for the same grant money?
But the corporations will need the municipalities to partner
Yeah.
with.
Regional partnerships with two key pieces on everything.
Okay.
So a company can come out and say, your electric co-op can come out and say, we have a plan to build out broadband. We've built out for our 3-year plan, but we could speed up and build out the next 9 years in 1 year if you give it to us. I might look at that because that's one of the local co-ops. It's obviously already going to have a municipality involvement there. That could be a grant that they turn in. Now, if Cox comes in or AT&T, and I'm using them just as big names everyone recognizes, comes in and says, okay, we can do the same thing, but we have no partnership, then the grant would more than likely be going to the electric co-op. It's regional and partnerships. I know you guys don't have much in the tribal nation around here from what I was told, but like the tribe's got another $billion-something as well. So like my district, the Creek Nation's headed out of my district. So we're looking at how can we partner with the Creek Nation, with our municipalities, with our school districts to get everything connected. Because that would be extremely impactful and a big partnership. Any other questions?
Like you said, we talked a lot about the rural, but there are, I mean, if we have any projects that we feel are COVID impacted, turn them in and you guys will kind of see if they fit anywhere.
That's correct.
Okay.
Just remember the price tag. Don't turn me in a $10,000, campaign to promote something. Turn me in $1 million campaign that gets some type of service that's COVID impact to a bigger pot.
Any other questions? Okay,
Sounds good.
we appreciate you taking your time, and
Absolutely.
we'll see if we can get through this quickly, so I'm gonna try to take him around a little bit more of the community, so. Okay, we will move on to item number 7, discussion possible action regarding the goals and objectives. So I took everybody's feedback. I believe everybody has the copy. So you can see the objectives and goals. Appropriate upgrade infrastructure for Woods County, emphasis on internet access and water. Complete and unveil our new website, assist in recruiting new businesses with emphasis on retail and restaurants, explore and identify new workforce training opportunities, support and assist in any new expansion of existing businesses, and then research recreation opportunities that will drive economic growth. And Kel, I kind of put that research first just so we can look. I think we'll have to do that first to get some ideas where we want to go. Expectation part has really not changed. We'll expect our director to attend city council meetings, Chamber of Commerce, communicate the relevant information back to us, and our city managers and mayors, and then represent our county at professional organizations. So, any questions on, like I said, this is what was given back to me. Hearing none, I would ask for a motion to approve the objectives and goals.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second, Jack Stats.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any other questions or discussions? Hearing none, roll call.
Kay,
Yes.
Jeremy,
Yes.
Bo,
Yes.
Kay,
Yes.
Randy,
Yes.
Jack.
Yes.
Okay, number 8, discussion possible action regarding budgetary needs based on goals and objectives. Neil, what?
I don't really see any change in the budget, except, website's gonna, we're gonna have to throw it in. But other than that,
Which we've got,
Which
we
we put
planned
in.
for.
yeah,
Okay,
so,
all right, so any other questions or discussion on that? I don't see that we'll have any possible action on that. And the discussion possible action regarding staff needs based on goals and objectives. Neil, again, any comments on? Obviously, we're expecting Neil to work with our municipalities and our city managers and our mayors. Do you have anything to add on that, Neil?
no, not an issue.
Okay. Any issues?
Mr. Chairman, I think it would be a good idea for us to look at the opportunity maybe to hire somebody, whatever, at least to evaluate where we're at. I mean, there's not anybody of us in this room that can be able to identify what our broadband needs are and what have you. Would it be good if we had somebody that could evaluate Woods County,
Well,
can tell us what we need, where we're at?
I'm hoping with what he said, eventually we'll have a good idea. Even if it's a colored map that shows percentages or,
You will have a map, or that will be published, that tells you what your broadband capabilities are and where the infrastructure is, as well as where any state assets lie. Like if one net was to run a line around here somewhere, I wouldn't duplicate that work. It cost us about $250,000 per data set to build the map, and we've got 3 or 4 data sets there. So I'm already going to give you the resources for that. Take the free ones.
I just don't want to be behind. And I understand how that is a competition for money.
but you think that map will probably be available fairly quickly when
Yeah,
that
it should
website
be
comes?
here next few weeks.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to item number 10, approve meeting dates for the 22 calendar year. That was in your packet as well. You can see the 4 dates for March, June, September, and December of next year. Do I have a motion to approve the meeting dates for the 22 calendar?
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Anybody foresee any problems with those dates? speak now or forever hold your peace. All right, I have a motion and a second. Neil, roll call?
Jack,
Yes.
Randy,
Yes.
Cale,
Yes.
Bo,
Yes.
Jeremy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, item 11, WCIDA, industrial. Neil, you want to give us an update on that?
Not a lot going on at this point. Had a meeting this morning, and the only thing is, if you know anybody that needs a building, we have an incubator in Winoka that's empty, so they can get in the incubator at a reasonable rate. And that's about all I've got on them.
Okay. Any questions? All right, item number 12, NWOA update. I know we do have a meeting coming up here pretty quick.
Right, they're having a tiny home, and I just found out you're gonna be speaking. Did you know that?
Tiny
Oh, I heard.
Tiny towns, correct?
Tiny.
Oh, the tiny stuff, yes.
Yeah, tiny towns.
And I can't remember the date on that.
I want to say October 20. I've got it. I'll send it to you. I want to say October.
I've got it,
Somebody needs to know.
but
I agree, I just didn't.
I signed up for it, I just don't have it.
It's designed for municipal government.
If my deal will go back this far on my phone. It is, 26th, October 26th, 8:30 to 4. And Angelica, I'll forward this to
Okay,
you right now.
thanks.
It's in Woodward, right?
Yes, at the conference center. All right, is that all you had on that?
Yes.
Okay. Item 13, executive director report.
I sent you guys all the activity, well, at least what I can remember. And as I sent it out, what I'll do is if you have any questions, you can ask me to save time so they can get out and about. Does anybody have any questions?
Anything specific?
Yeah,
And we've got time, we're actually doing great,
okay.
so,
Do you want me to give you some highlights or?
yep.
The website, I need everybody to let me know when they can go over that with the company. We'll Zoom in with them. So get me a date and time that you're available. I'd like to see them go live at the end of this month. So the company that we're working with to relocate, I'm encouraged. One of the things that they were wanting, and I sent it to our rep, is for Oklahoma to have a bill that says that we will not mandate vaccinations for employees, which I don't know that we'll ever do that if we leave it open. But anyway, so I sent him that and told him, but Montana apparently had come up with a bill, and he sent me that bill and I sent it on. So
You sent that to who?
the company, or to the rep, state rep.
Really?
Yeah, why?
Well, I kind of have a problem with that.
Anyway, talking to our state rep, he said the chances of us ever doing that are slim to none. And I said, okay. So that's what I told him. Not only is he wanting to expand here, but now he's wanting to move everything here. And that means all the company, his mom and dad, her mom and dad, brothers, sisters, everybody. So I'm not sure what that count would be, but he has had me go out and FaceTime different houses. for him. And so, to me, it sounds like they're pretty serious, so we'll just leave it at that. The Avard Regional Rail Park has hired Emblem Strategies. They've had them for more than a year now to work on infrastructure for the rail park. At this point, we're trying
For that, your phone needs a mobile or
to
Wi-Fi
look at
connection for
infrastructure, water and roads going to the park. I'm with the city now on their economic development, and we meet monthly. Work with the local chamber on their events and help wherever I can. We had a company come to town. We're looking at hotspots, Wi-Fi hotspots, and we looked at downtown, the rec center, the airport. I think that's all we looked at this point. So they've given us some information on that. I have sent in some RFIs to the Department of Commerce that we qualify for. You know, we're more than 45 minutes from the city, so we don't have an interstate. So that limits a lot of what we can and can't do. The last one I sent in, I did get notified that we did not get chosen as one of the areas, so working with DOT on that road to Avard. So I guess that kind of hits the highlights anyway.
Okay. Any other questions for Neil? All right, hearing none, we'll move to item 14. New business, any new business? Okay, hearing none, we'll move to item 15, announcements. Neil, do you have anything?
I don't, just that I need your date you available to watch and mess with the website.
I'll probably, go ahead.
I was gonna say, you need this as a group, or you gonna do it individually?
I was just gonna do it as a group. I mean, we can do it from the college, you could be at work, Zoom in, and we'd all be on Zoom or whatever, and
Is there individual?
so. Or we can, whoever wants to meet here can meet here.
Would it probably be easier if Neil just got a date or two, and
Yes.
if you could just get us maybe 2 or 3 dates and then send that out, let's see.
Send us a new poll.
Yeah. The only other thing I would have is community coffee is this Friday at, is it still BAP? So, love to see anybody out there. Any other announcements from any other committee members? If not, I would take a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman, I move we adjourn.
I have a motion, do we have a second?
Sure.
Thank you, Randy. Need a roll call.
Okay,
Yes.
Jeremy,
Yes.
Bo,
Yes.
Cale,
Yes.
McMurphy,
Yes.